We got the old subframe out, but somehow we also managed to get the new one in. Oh wow. Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we are back to work on my brother's Corvette C7 Grand Sport. And the car pretty much looks the same as it did in the last video when we took it apart. But he did do some more work on it. I know we were supposed to work on the Mach 1 next, but he picked this thing up and it was supposed to be sitting until the Mach 1 was done, but he will not stop working on it. He's too excited. Let's talk about what you did on the car so far with the bodywork and the suspension and everything. And as we talk about it, I'll insert some clips of the work that he did do.
So I put a little piece of metal behind it to get the form. It was like that. And then I started laying fiberglass over it and then on the inside. But it was really important to make sure that I grind down the fiberglass so that body line stays. When you lay the fiberglass, it doesn't add another layer, you know, rising it. Because then you would see that in the paint, so it's really smooth.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Probably going to seal skin it later to get
a smooth finish.
Bits. Yeah, everywhere over the primer.
What happened back here though? So we did take off these quarter panels too.
Yes, we got
did a little bit of a repair
here. It was down and it was cracked. I think the rear tailgate had smashed on it.
All these things are fiberglass, so they're fixed pretty much the same way as all the other panels. And then this was some suspension.
Track bar, they got a brand new track bar from GM. So guys, we have this beautiful taillight bezel that came in. I put it in and just look at those pearls,
wow.
Guys. It's amazing.
Pre-painted. And he's also making a custom exhaust just temporarily, so when we do start the car up, it doesn't burn anything way into the car.
Professional. It's just to make sure nothing in the undershielding gets
we don't want to burn any wires or catch anything on fire because it does get hot. So
we also have a track bar on this side replaced as well. I don't know if it's sitting on the ground completely. It might be third wheeling a little bit because it is up there. But this quarter panel is ready for seal skin.
I don't know how he pulled this off, guys. You saw his quarter panel was like completely falling apart.
This was actually ripped off. This wasn't even on it, and it's pretty solid. I need to sand this down, but it's getting there.
Yeah, he's working on this. This will be almost done. But repairing fiberglass with fiberglass is a lot easier than fixing plastic with fiberglass, because plastic likes to crack. But he's doing pretty well.
It bonds a lot better. I say you have to use 180 to 320 grit. It works really good to bond that fiberglass.
Today, what we're going to be doing is we're actually fixing the frame on this car with my dad right here, our professional frame guy.
Hello. Okay, let's watch this, how that goes.
What we're doing right here is there's a little bit of a buckle, so we're trying to straighten it in so the rail can slide in.
So anything can break, this, and can fly.
Well, you want to explain the thingy-mabobber here?
Yeah.
You get this point from
So
what's going on here?
So we are putting pressure here. We have a plate here so that the pressure is not pinching on one. We're just spreading the load here so that it's not pinching right here. Right here, we want the pinch so that this comes in. For here, we want to spread the load so that this part does not cave in.
Because right now, this buckle is causing this part to be down a little bit, causing the new frame not to slide in, which I'll show you guys the new parts in a moment, but let's get this knocked out real quick. It might need to go up a little bit, I feel like. You see, it's like kind of... So anyways, guys, we're going to go ahead and work on that, but real quick right here, we have an aluminum welder now, because this frame right here is completely aluminum. And then right here is our new beam, because the old one was completely destroyed, so this will just slide right in, and I have to still grind this down so we have a good metal to bond to, and then we'll just go ahead and slide this in, weld it up, and then this frame on this car should be done pretty quickly, honestly, and we just have to move this frame rail over too a little bit and get this re-welded up, and as well as the rebar, and then we should be all good to go. So let's just go ahead and get this frame knocked out. So look, I'm gonna slide this rail in real quick so you guys can see what's going on here. This is our little piston here. We call this the hockey puck piston because it's so tiny. But we need some wood blocks, so we're gonna kind of like put stuff in here and like stack it up and then use the piston to push it out. Alright guys, so I'm gonna go ahead and grind the old welds off the rail. Got that nice and ready to go. So we're gonna grind this stuff off and the rail should slide right into place and we can weld it, so let's do it. Alright guys, so I went ahead and I got this all grinded off and the rail fits in there beautifully, but now we're gonna use some weld through primer to get this all prepped up and ready to go so we can weld to it. Turns out you could use zinc weld or copper weld. Anything that's zinc or copper type of coating you can weld through, no matter if you're doing steel or aluminum. So that's just something new I learned just now, so we can use zinc weld on this. So let's go ahead, get this coated up and weld it. All right, guys. So I got everything grinded, weld through primered, and we got the rails put in place ready for welding. We still need to use some vice grips to clamp them up where they're supposed to be. But this frame is starting to take shape. It looks really, really good. We went ahead and we took off the wiring harness too over there. We're gonna have to do a little bit of repairing right here on the harness, but it's looking pretty good. We used the tram gauge, everything lines up. All right, guys, so while my dad reads through that manual and learns how that welder works, I'll go ahead and see you guys in the next clip. All right, guys, so it is a few days later now, and we're actually not gonna be welding today because we're still waiting for a couple more items to arrive in the mail. We gotta order some more weld through primer because we don't want any of this stuff to corrode and get ruined over time. So we're gonna do it right. We're gonna wait for that stuff to come in. But what we are gonna do today is we're gonna drop this old broken subframe. It just broke right over here. That's literally the only damage on the subframe, which sucks. Basically, when we take the subframe off, it also gives us more room right over here to weld the bottom of the rail in. So this will also help give us some more room. But right now we do have the brand new subframe as well, right over here. So this is how this looks, and this will actually help us figure out where the bolts and everything go and where to unscrew things from. So guys, what I think I'm gonna do is basically this is designed the same way as the Cadillac we worked on. Pretty much it's like the same scenario of things that we're doing. So we're gonna jack up the car from the middle, put 2 jack stands on the side so we have a lot of room under the car, and then we're gonna start by unscrewing all the driver's side suspension off of the subframe. This side's all broken, so we don't even need to worry about taking any of this stuff off. Then we're gonna go for unplugging some stuff, taking off some sensors off of the subframe. We're gonna have to take off the steering rack and the sway bar. But for the motor mounts, as you guys remember, the motor mounts in the Cadillac, the bolts were like under the engine, but they were facing upward, so you could only get them from inside the engine bay, and it was very hard and tricky to get those ones out, at least on the driver's side of that car, because the passenger side was a little bit more easier since the mount was already pretty much broken, and easier accessible too. But on this car, it's a bit different. You can actually get the bolts from the bottom of the car because that's where they're coming from. So it's super easy and it should be pretty quick to get this subframe out. So let's just go ahead, jump right in and get this subframe taken out. All right, guys, so we went ahead and we got the old subframe out, but somehow we also managed to get the new one in.
It just happened. How long did that take? 2 hours? 45 minutes?
Maybe like an hour to take the old subframe out, and it took us like 15 minutes to put the new one in.
You guys know what they say. A wise man once said nothing at all.
What?
That is good. A wise man once said nothing at all, but
We accomplished the impossible. We've made the impossible possible today.
As you guys can see, it is getting dark out though. We managed to get the motor mounts all hooked up and everything is in. We just have to plug in the stuff obviously and screw everything else down like the steering rack and the sway bar. But the engine is now resting on its subframe. And as you guys can see, we have the brand new mounts right here for the control arm. So
go ahead and get this in the video. We're gonna clip these in real quick.
he's gonna clip that in real quick.
And
Oh,
the
wow.
other one.
It's a little.
He's just doing side quests now.
Yeah,
Oh,
now he's just doing the
quest on
side
Corvette.
quest.
Let's
But
work now.
and we also went ahead and took off the actual other part of the intake, and I just stuffed this in here to keep anything from going to the throttle body. But guys, all we have left to do now is put the sway bar back in and the steering rack and just screw everything else back in. And quick little tip, if you guys ever take your steering rack out or anything for the steering and your steering wheel is allowed to move freely, just put that there and no one is gonna break your clock spring. That's his first time seeing the sign.
Do not turn.
But guys, we'll see you all in the next clip. Alright guys, so it is the next day here, and me and my brothers are here right now, and we're gonna go ahead and finish assembling everything we took off of the subframe, except for the sway bar, so my dad has a little bit of extra room here to weld the bottom side of the rail. So let's just go ahead, put the steering rack back on, and screw everything down, make sure everything's nice and tight, route all the wires where they need to go, clip everything in, and get the subframe 100% replaced. Alright guys, so everything is now 100% put together on the subframe. I made sure to see if all these bolts were nice and tight. got the rack back on. I screwed back on the ABS pump and clipped in all the wires and everything. It's all looking good. Now the next step is going to be to weld this stuff in. All right, guys, so it is a few days later. We finally got the zinc weld in the mail. It took a while, but it's finally here and we can get all this stuff rust protected. And then we're also going to go ahead and put this bottom bar in for the radiator support. And then we're going to go ahead and line all this stuff up, get it leveled, weld it in, and the frame on this car should be done. We just put some covers on them, but aside from that, we are deciding that we're going to be taking a different approach to welding the Camaro, or the Corvette I mean. We're going to go ahead and do some gas welding. So, Dan, explain what this all is.
So this is a 80 cubic inch.
Cubic inch?
Was it liter? No, it can't be liter. It was a 80 cubic inch can of argon, 100% argon.
You want to do 100% argon when you're welding with aluminum. Anything else like that's mixed with it, you're just going to get the best welding results with 100% argon. So you want to try to get that.
You could use 25% mixed CO2, but for aluminum, the best way to go is 100% argon.
Yeah.
So that's what we got here. And then we also have a regulator.
Yeah, so this is our welder here. It's both electric and gas, so we're just gonna convert it to the gas setup, and that should help us weld a little bit more. Because the electric setup wasn't really working all that well. The welds were not sticking very well, and it was not laying down very good. These are the wires we're using, 0.35 and 0.30, both aluminum MIG wire. So we're probably gonna do the 0.30 though.
Yeah, these ones are different from the flux wire. This is, I gotta get my wording right, hold on. So this is pure aluminum wire, which is different from a flux wire because the flux protects the aluminum, but instead of protecting it, we were getting a lot of sputters, so the argon is gonna protect it instead with no sputter.
Yeah. Wow. All right, it's my first time seeing the car without the wheelhouse panel on. Wow. This is actually pretty crazy. It all just came off pretty easily, it looks like. It's all gone. Oh, and that's the new one right there. This is huge. Oh gosh. Oh my goodness, this thing is nice. I cannot wait to slap this one on. Alright guys, so this is the process of replacing this. So I don't think my brother recorded him taking off the wheelhouse panel because his camera was having issues, but essentially the way you get it off is you just take some chisels to the areas where there's the panel bond, or you could just break it off, pull it off, whatever you need to do. You can just get it off that way. And then what the process of replacing it is a bit more trickier. What you want to do is you want to take most of the glue off. I'm still working on it, but you do want to keep a little bit of the glue in some of the areas, because as you can see, this glue does stick up a lot over this original piece right here, and you want to make sure that you can get the wheelhouse panel in the exact spot. You don't want to go in too much or too out, you don't want to have it sit too high or too low, because that will affect your gaps on your car. So you want to just leave the glue in a few areas there, but put new glue in all the other areas. And I'm going to use the belt sander to make this more refined and give them some good edges and everything. And after that's all done, you put the new panel bond on the areas, line up the piece and just press it down and clamp it, and then give it 24 hours for the panel bond to cure, and then you have a fully replaced wheelhouse panel. So I'm going to keep on working on this and getting all this glue off, and then we'll put new glue on it. So let's do it. Alright guys, so I went ahead and I got the panel bond off, and I just made the little strips in there so it can go into the right spot. We got it clamped on. There's just one clamp here and one clamp right there, and that's holding everything where it's supposed to be. You can see everything is lined up exactly where it's supposed to be, and the panel bond is we're just gonna leave it like this, and this will all be put together. And then on this wheelhouse panel here, this one was intact, but the glue did break just here on the front. So we went ahead and we lined it all up, and we got it all in place, and then we put a clamp on the bottom part right there like that, and it's all in the spot where it's supposed to be. Alright guys, so I went ahead and I got the wheelhouse panel on, and I went ahead and I waxed and grease removed everything, got everything prepped. So as you can see, in some spots I just have a little bit of the old panel bond left, just to give it its original spot back. And then I went ahead and I prepped the new rail where we're going to be putting the panel bond on, and we're just going to clamp everything. So let's just go ahead and get the panel bond, get this all put together. Alright, after so long,
We have the final weld right here. It's the easiest weld. My dad's going to lay some work right here.
the last weld.
After this, no more welding.
Our equipment has really changed over the times we've been practicing welding. The last weld.
The last one.
We're finally done. Hey! Hey!
High five.
Yay.
Hey!
Hey, these are dimes.
High five. Too slow. We did
These
it.
are dimes, man.
About time.
Finally, we're
It's
finished.
easy to lay dimes on the flat surface.
Hey! Alright guys, so we've been welding for honestly a couple weeks, because this is aluminum welding and it's actually pretty difficult. It's completely different from steel welding, and we went through a lot of different types of tools and everything, a lot of practicing to figure out exactly how to get this frame welded so it can actually be strong. And we finally got this frame welded up, and it is nice and strong and ready to go. So basically guys, the main issue we were having here is with voltage. So over here we have a 120 volt outlets over here, and that's just not enough to supply the welder to get good enough welds on the car. So you need 220 volt, which we don't have. So what we had to do is we had to improvise and get a converter, or a transformer actually, and this turns the 120 volt into a 220. And also we had to change our welder out with this one This is the one we always use and it works amazing. The problem is this is a steel welder. To get this one to work with aluminum, you have to put the aluminum spool gun on it to get it to work. And then we switched our setup to gas as well. So we are gas welding and we're using the inverter, and we were able to get some really nice welds. But this is the car here, and then as you guys see, we do have aprons on this car. Got that completely installed. We did it in the middle of like when we were still figuring out how we should get this welded, but now the car is welded and this frame is strong and secure. It's not going anywhere. And before we were not able to get dimes like that. The welds would not hold, and I'm really happy with those welds because they're super strong. And this frame is coming out amazing, guys. So in today's video, I played clips of my brother doing the body work. We did frame work, and we got pretty much this car just looking like a Corvette skeleton again. But basically, guys, in the next video, things are gonna get crazy in the next video. In the next video, we are gonna go ahead and we're gonna put all the suspension on back over here. We're gonna put the cooling system in. There's a few grazed cut wires right here. We're gonna go ahead and repair those. And then this car should be on all 4 wheels, and it'll pretty much just be a running, driving in 100% great mechanical condition Corvette skeleton. And it's gonna be pretty amazing, guys. So stay tuned for the next video, guys. And if you are loving this Corvette build, guys, then be sure to go down below and hit that like button. While you're at it, there's a shiny red subscribe button that you should click. But that is all for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.